All right, this is Marty Lear, and I am going to be trying to help you with the homework assignment. So, first of all, I apologize for any bad quality. The microphone I'm using is built into the laptop. I'm doing this for you because last night in my class I kind of felt like people weren't getting everything and could benefit from me kind of walking you through it. So I apologize for the bad quality, and also potentially the CO250 students, my GRCC students, when you look at this, it's going to be a little different. This is on 3ds Max 2014, and you are on 3ds Max 2013 design. So a little bit different, but it shouldn't be all that bad for you. So just want to remind you guys that your desktop is obviously very customizable, and your viewports are customizable. You can move things around as needed. Thank goodness we have the reset button that we can set things back. Remember to click with your right mouse button into your viewports so that you can not select things by doing it with your left mouse button. Do your best when doing this to remain out of that perspective view. Use the perspective view for viewing, but as some of you have already noticed, that if you go ahead and model in the perspective view, what you get is not always what you think you get. So be really careful with that. So for the homework assignment, I asked you to create a little table. So I'm going to start off just with a box and just give it a little thickness. So if you look over on the right, it could be any size box, does not matter. I'm kind of zooming out a little bit my perspective view to take a look at it. But this is going to be my table, and this one happens to be, I'll clean it up a little bit. We'll say 150 in the length, 300 in the width, and I'll say 6 in the height. Now you don't have to do it exactly like this. You can make it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so I have my table there, and next what I'm going to do, I will be placing my legs in place. So I'm simply going to click on cylinder, and then I'm going to create a leg. Now when I'm doing this, I'm looking at all my viewports, and I'm just dragging my mouse in my top view down. So once I like what I see, I click, and then I kind of size things up a little bit. And remember, guys, down on the bottom here is that wonderful tool to zoom extents. You can do all selected, or if you hold it down, zoom extents all. So down on the bottom where my mouse is wiggling now, zoom extents all will kind of fit things in nicely. Alright, so now I'm going to make a copy of that. Remember, the rule is we never make the same object twice. So I'm going to go to the move command, which is right up there, and I'm going to hold my shift key down, and I'm just going to move and make sure I'm in that viewport up there. I'm going to move it nice and straight by going up to the little green arrow for the y-axis and kind of fit it in. I'll let loose, and note we can make a copy, instance, or reference. We'll just do a copy. I mean, you could call this leg 2, but it's totally fine. We don't really care right now. So now I have that one selected. I want to pick that one up there too and make a copy of both of them over to the right. I'm going to hold the control key on my keyboard. I come up and I select the line. Notice now I have 2 cylinders selected, and I want to make a copy of this. So I hold my shift key down. I come up to my arrow and I just bring my nice guy across. Alright, so you can kind of see in my perspective view now. I'll maximize it a minute. You can see that we have some things going here, looking good. Nice little table. Nothing special about it. And it's kind of weird when I'm recording. It goes into a different kind of wireframe view. Must be because of the resources on my computer. My little laptop. Anyways, so it's looking good. We're there. And your assignment is going to ask you to put a teapot on top of your table. Now, the feature that we want to use is the auto grid, which is over here. When we turn auto grid on, it will automatically put just like a little grid and be on top of my table. If I don't turn the auto grid on, which is there, my table will exist, but it's going to be potentially halfway through my table. So I'm going to put my little guy up here. Here is my teapot. All right, so it says in your exercise that it's going to want you to animate this, but prior to animation, we're going to put some lights in our scene, and we're also going to put some material on our objects. So right now it's just kind of green and purple, and we want to change that up. So let's do some materials. Now the material editor can be accessed by hitting the letter M or going up to the top and clicking on the material editor, which happens to be there. I just used the M for my shortcut. Now some of you guys are going to see this, and some of you guys are going to see this. Hopefully it comes. There it is. For now, the material editor is a little easier for you to understand by going to modes and compact, and that's your compact mode. So depending on which one you have, make sure you're in this default mode that we kind of had forever. Now in here we have the opportunity to find materials. Now there's lots of different materials you can access. For you people in CO250, you have architectural materials all set up and ready to go. Please use those. This will be a little different to you, but for everyone else in DAG100, this is what you have. Now if you want to, you can get materials. So you can click this little button right here, and get materials, and you can kind of see what type of materials we have available. We have some very standard types of materials, and if you scroll down you'll see more. Now what I'm after is I want to do mental ray materials, because those are kind of high quality and they look good. Notice it doesn't have any mental ray materials on here. We need to make sure that we can see mental ray material, and the way that you turn mental ray materials on is by going to your render setup. By default, 3ds Max 2013 design has mental ray on. By default, the one that I'm in, which is the full-blown 3ds Max 2014, mental ray is not turned on. So I want to turn that on so I can put on some cool materials. So why don't we close out the material editor, or if you have another monitor, just move that one over. I'm going to make a little more room here by moving my stuff around. And we want to go into our render setup. So render setup is where my mouse is wiggling up on the top right there. Click on that. And we might as well start getting ready for our animation. So when we look at this, it is not a single frame, but we have to do multiple frames. We're making a movie. So select active time segment right there. And then your output size, it requires you to do HDTV. So hit custom, pull down HDTV, and then go 1280 by 720. All right, coming down here, we can grab this and kind of scroll up and down. So using the hand, you kind of move it up and down. We want to assign renderer. Now we don't want the scanline renderer. That's the default one in 3ds Max, the full-blown version. So hit the three little dot, and let's go to mental ray and OK. This is going to give us different materials, better materials to work with. So the only other thing that we have to do is we need to actually tell it we want to make an AVI. So under render output, hit files. And the good thing, guys, if I'm going too fast for you, just pause this, rewind it, and look for it again. Remember, here's the formats that we have. We want AVI. And then make sure you name it properly. Look at the naming scheme that the homework assignment is requiring you to do. So I don't have it in front of me, I apologize, but it's something like AS01 underscore your last name, and then, very important, where are you going to ship this out to? Well, I'm going to ship it to my desktop so I can find it quickly. So I'm going to go desktop, and again, this naming scheme, make sure you look at what it says on the homework assignment, not necessarily what I put down here. So I'm going to make an ABI, and it's assignment 01 underscore my last name. Whatever your last name is, you're going to put that down, and it's an ABI, and save. Now it's going to ask me the compression, and we're just going to say, okay, it's fine, we'll leave it alone. All right, so now this render setup is correct. You may close that out, and let's go back to our materials, and let's go to Get Materials, and check it out. We have some new stuff to work with. So here's a bunch of materials that we can work with. These are mental ray materials. Kind of scroll down, mental ray. If you go all the way down to Autodesk Material Library, you'll see some stuff. So I'm going to go with wood, and I'm going to take a look down here. Lots of different types of wood that we can select. And I'm just going to go kind of with a medium glossy red oak. You can go with whatever you want. So I'm just going to take that one. By double clicking on it, it will show up in my material editor. I'm going to close that out now, and basically I can apply this material to my objects. So in this scene, I can come over here and I can window in everything but the teapot. Make sure you don't pick the teapot, or if you do, just deselect it. So it looks like I have everything selected in my scene, and now I can go to Assign Material to Selection, or click and drag and drop it on. I'm just going to assign material to selection because I selected those guys. So here we go, assign material to selection. Now, if you don't see it in your scene, like it looks kind of gray to me, all you have to do is hit this button here called Show Shaded Material in Viewport. Yay, I can see it. So now when I render this thing out, I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to nail, well, the problem will be if I render it out now, I'm going to have an ABI, and I don't want that. But if I did want to render it out quickly, I can just render stuff to take a peek at what stuff we'll look at. I'm going to cancel this out for a minute. So yes, we have some materials, and that's what you have to put on there. So something for my teapot would be fun. Maybe what I'd like to do is get kind of a chromy looking material, something reflective and shiny. Probably be under metal. And there's chrome, a polished chrome. So I'm going to take that one. Note it's right here. And I'm going to just click and drag and drop it on my teapot. Okay. So I have materials in my scene now. We can close out the material editor. The assignment also asks you to put in some lights. So I'm going to go and put some lights in. Remember, create, not geometry, not shapes, but lights. And for us right now, we don't want to work in photometric. We want to work in standard lights. Go to standard lights, and I'm going to drop in a mental ray, MR, area OmniLight. Just drop it right in my scene. Boom. Nope, the second I do that, what happens? I can't see the bottom anymore. And that's okay, because the lights can't pass through that. So maybe what I want to do is brighten it up a little bit, grab an Omni and dump an Omni below. See how things are brightening up a bit here. We can see the legs. Can't see this because there's no light on that. Maybe I want to put a spotlight in my scene, or maybe I just want to keep messing around with Omni lights, so maybe one over here. Okay, so things are well lit at this point. By default, these lights, take a look at your lights a moment. This light, which is our mental ray light, has shadows on. Okay. This one here, which is a normal Omni light, does not have shadows on. So if you want shadows on with that one, you'd have to turn it on. I don't really care. So we now have our scene almost ready for animation. I'm going to kind of maximize this viewport a minute here and rotate my stuff, holding the Alt key down and middle mouse button so I can kind of see what I'm working on. Cool. And you need to animate. So if you remember in class, we select our teapot, we turn the auto key on, and down on the bottom we have frames. There are 100 frames. So I'm just going to go maybe up to frame 20, and if you recall, anything we do is somewhat memorized, and I can, let's see, rotate it just a little bit more. I'm just going to move my teapot towards the center right there. Notice I'm giving frames to this thing, so I'm going to go up to 40, and I'm going to take my teapot and move it that way. Okay, and then I'm going to take some more frames, and I'm going to move my teapot way over to the corner there. And then I'm going to give some more frames. All I'm doing is sliding that time slider on the bottom. And I'm going to move my teapot here. And then I'm going to give it some more frames and move it back to where it was. Okay, now most of you are going to make it bounce, make it jump. Remember all the modifier stuff that we were playing with? The modifier stuff is down here. You could maybe select like squeeze, move it up and down and bounce around, but for now I'm just showing you how to animate, and you get to experiment with that. So I'm done with animating. If I hit the play button, I can confirm that, yep, this thing is moving around. Okay. And most of you will actually see the chair, not a wireframe view of it, and this is just because I'm recording stuff and running 3ds Max at the same time, and it doesn't like that. Alright, so I'm stopping it, and now it's time to render out your work. So you're going to go back to render setup and make sure everything is cool. Remember, we have it saved out as our assignment, our last name in the AVI, and we're going to hit render, and then hopefully you're on a decent computer and it goes pretty fast. Note how it slows down as soon as it gets to the teapot. Why? Because it's very reflective. And it's going to show whatever view, however you happen to have things set up in that perspective view. Now it's going to run through this, and then I'm going to stop the recording right now because this is taking a little too long for me. But ultimately you'll see that this teapot's going to move around. You'll see that it has materials on there, the lights are on there, and things are looking good. You need to be sure to send me your work on Blackboard. For Ferris people, it's Ferris Connect, and for GRCC people, it's Blackboard. This will render itself out as an AVI. It will be sitting on your desktop. You need to basically attach that to your homework assignment. You will also need to give me the 3ds Max file. So not only the finished animation, but also the 3ds Max work too. Remember, you can always get a hold of me if you have questions. The best way to catch me is through email, and my email is lierm@ferris.edu, so LIERM@ferris.edu, and I will post this up to help you so that you can remember what we did in class. Hope you have a great day, and we will be in touch.